welcome to the channel. I'm back to break down the 6-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Before we get into it, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. I'll be here all MLB DFS season long, breaking down these MLB DFS slates to help you guys become better MLB DFS players and help you guys win money night in and night out. I think people that have been watching my content consistently can vouch for me that they have been winning a lot more than they did before they started watching it. So I've been hearing a lot of that, and I'm glad to hear it. I'm here to help. And if you are getting really serious and you really want to step your game up, I do offer a premium package that's linked below in the description. Promise you, I think you're going to get some really valuable content. I think my current patrons are very happy with that as well. You get access to all of the same tools that I use when building my own lineups, as well as my power rankings and my cheat sheet. And then, not to mention, I think I provide a lot more behind the curtain than a lot of other channels do as far as what you see on the screen while I'm recording these videos. So honestly, if you could just leave a like, subscribe to the channel, it does so much for me. I greatly appreciate it, and I try to really give you guys as much free content as I possibly can. And then if you want some more premium content, that is an option as well. And I'm always listening for feedback. My current patrons, if there's something on the sheet that you really think could benefit you, feel free to send me a private message on Patreon. I'll definitely put it in there. And for someone that signs up for the package and check it out for the first time, same thing. If you see, oh, this is great, but this would help out, I'm all ears. So please leave feedback. Don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my home run call of the day. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this slate today. So as always, I like to go ahead and figure out the pitchers that we want to play first, and then we'll transition over to bats. And I like to do that by shorting my sheet by K rate. It's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts. And the top guy on the slate today is going to be Max Scherzer, taking on the San Francisco Giants. Comes in with a 34.4% K rate overall, a 16.1 swinging strike rate, 37.3% K rate against righties, and a 31.4% K rate against lefties. Really good stuff. The only issue that I'm seeing right now is this game might not even play. Honestly, it's looking real rough. And Washington does have a tradition of being really postpone happy, even when things aren't that bad, or vice versa. Their weather team is just all over the place. I've trust issues when it comes to Washington, but my guess would be that this game is going to be called pretty early on in the day. By looking at the forecast, it does not look good. It looks like it's going to rain all night long. It looks like it's going to be pretty steady and not too healthy. So if Max Scherzer plays, he's obviously top option on the slate. Great, tremendous option to be playing tonight. I have a feeling he's probably not going to be, unfortunately. So that would leave us with Trevor Rogers taking on the Colorado Rockies. 29.8% K rate overall, 14% swinging strike rate, 29.5% K rate against righties, and a 30.6% K rate against lefties. Very solid stuff. He's taking on a Colorado Rockies team that I always like to target when they're away from home, and he's pitching in Miami, which, pulling up the diagram here, we know is a great pitcher's park. A lot of red going on there as far as the outfield's concerned, triples, doubles, singles, all the above. Just a great pitching environment. Not a lot of things to be had as far as the bats are concerned, as far as field environment. So definitely like Trevor Rogers. He comes in at 10-1 on FanDuel over on DraftKings. They got him priced at $9K. Comes in as a 228 favorite, huge favorite, expected to get the win, which of course we always do prefer to get from our starting pitcher in our daily fantasy sports lineup. We want them to get the most strikeouts possible, and we want them to get that win, that quality start if you're playing on FanDuel. And on DraftKings, we want them to obviously limit those hits and walks and all that fun stuff. Eduardo Rodriguez taking on the Houston Astros is a guy that I'm going to be very wary on because of this Houston Astros matchup. Really have not been striking out a lot, especially against left-handed pitching. 25.1% K overall, 11.3 swinging strike rate. Really good across the board, honestly. Ground ball, fly ball stuff. Definitely a good pitcher. But like I said, the matchup is going to be very tough for him tonight, taking on this Houston Astros team that have some really pesky hitters. So I'm going to have a hard time going to Eduardo tonight. That's probably a fade for me. Frankie Matas taking on the Kansas City Royals is a team that has been striking out quite a bit as of late. They've definitely added some new bats off the IL that have a high K rate. 24.9% K rate, 11.7 swinging strike rate, 22% K rate against righties, and a 27.7% K rate against lefties. So he actually ticks that strikeout number up more against those left-handed bats. And as mentioned, I think this Royals team definitely has some more strikeouts in the bottom of the order with guys like Jorge Soler, Hunter Dozier, Kelvin Gutierrez, Michael Taylor. Than we saw earlier. Jorge Soler specifically in that 5 spot. Lots of power, but also lots of strikeouts. Frankie Matas comes in as a 162 favorite. This game is being played in the Oakland Coliseum, which is a great pitching environment, and it's only about 60 degrees out, which is great pitching weather. Looking at the chart here as far as the Oakland A's are concerned, a lot of red going on there in the outfield as far as home runs, all that stuff. And yeah, that's a recipe for success when it comes to your pitchers in DFS. So I think that Frankie Matas is a viable option tonight. Mike Minor taking on the Oakland Athletics in the same game is also a viable option. Not sure I'm going to like him quite as much. I mean, the Oakland A's definitely have their fair share of strikeouts. But I've always said this lineup's just designed to hit left-handed pitching. They really are. The ground ball, fly ball stuff isn't the greatest for Mike Minor. He does give up a 4.11 slug into righties. Ground ball, fly ball stuff not good once again. 24.2% carry is pretty respectable, but in a situation of taking on a lineup with the amount of left-handed mashers that they have in this game, I don't think I'm really looking to go to Mike Minor for pitching. Ryu taking on the Chicago White Sox. They're also a team that's very, very good against left-handed pitching. I think that Ryu is good enough to limit these guys as far as home runs and all that stuff's concerned, but I'm definitely not all too interested in pitching him as of now. Once again, there is no Scherzer on the slate, so that could change as we get later in the day. And I'm weighing my options, and I'm saying, well, you know, he's the best option out of what we have. So I could see that as a possibility. So for my Patreons, keep an eye on my cheat sheet, my power rankings, all that fun stuff. Zach Greinke taking on the Boston Red Sox, similar to the Houston Astros, who I just discussed. Same thing with the Boston Red Sox, pesky hitters that really don't strike out, and I'm going to have a hard time going to him in my fantasy lineups because we need that strikeout upside. Escalfani, I expect that game to be rained out. I don't think he's going to be an option. And yeah, I mean, I'm not looking to play anyone else on this list, I can tell you that much. So we can go ahead and transition over to bats. As always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by Sierra, scaling our active ERA. It's a good way of determining how good a pitcher's been so far in his career and how good he's expected to be going forward. And the worst pitcher on the slate today is going to be Chichi Gonzalez taking on the Miami Marlins. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's terrible. Ground ball stuff, sorry, I already said that, but the K rate's also terrible. The hard contact stuff's terrible. You get the gist. He's not good. A 443 slugging given up to righties and a 466 slugging given up to lefties has been much more effective against lefties as far as ground ball, fly ball stuff concerned, but overall is just bad. Keep in mind, he does pitch in Coors Field oftentimes, so these numbers are a lot worse than what he probably is, but I still think that Chichi Gonzalez is bad, and most notably, he just really doesn't strike anyone out. So anyone that can put the ball on the bat with some sort of power is going to have a good opportunity to do some damage here. And I definitely think that the Miami Marlins, although they are in Miami, which is the best hitting environment, as we mentioned earlier, are going to be a great stack on this short slate today. Hopefully they don't get the most ownership. I'm guessing they probably will. People like to target Chichi Gonzalez. And the Colorado Rocky bullpen is really bad as well. So just keep that in mind. You know, I like them. The ballpark isn't the best, but definitely in a good spot here. Jazz Chisholm, Starling Marte, Jesus Aguilar, Corey Dickerson, Adam Duvall, Isan Diaz has shown a lot of pop, Jorge Alfaro, John Birdie. I really like everyone in the lineup outside of the 7 and 8 hitters in Alfaro and Birdie for the most part, I would say. From first look, I might dig into some pitch data and find that they crush what Chichi throws, and then I might change my stance on that. So that's just off the top of the dome as far as the power upside and everything in their bats. But Jazz Chisholm specifically in this leadoff spot today is going to be a tremendous play. The kid has a bunch of talent. Taking on a guy that doesn't strike anyone out. Jazz Chisholm has a bunch of speed on the base paths, and he's going to be a tremendous play for sure. J Happ taking on the New York Yankees. This is definitely going to be my top stack on the slate, not even thinking about it. The Yankees have been really struggling. They have been sucking until last night they finally went off, and they get to take on a matchup with J Happ, who is terrible against right-handed hitting. The entire Yankees lineup is right-handed heavy, and then when you transition over to the bullpen, the Minnesota bullpen sucks. So this is just going to be an absolute gem of a spot for this Yankees offense. You know, J Happ, ground ball, fly ball stuff's terrible. 492 slugging given up to righties, hard contact, fly ball, everything is terrible. Really reliant on the fastball sinker type of combination. Against lefties, he is very effective, but as mentioned, there's no lefties in this Yankees lineup. So, and it's 95 degrees in Minnesota. This is clearly the top spot on the slate. I'm sure it's going to be very popular, and yet I don't care. If you're playing the slate, I think you're a crazy person if you fade this spot. So that being said, you know, big risks pay off. It might get you to the top of the leaderboard, but I mean, we're talking 95-degree weather. We're talking Yankees' entire lineup being right-handed heavy, and we're talking a guy that can't get righties out and gives up a bunch of hard contact to righties and doesn't produce any ground balls to righties. And not to mention the righties' bats don't lack any power on this Yankee squad. So DJ LeMahieu, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Gleyber Torres, Gio Urshela, Gary Sanchez, Miguel Andujar, Chris Gittins, Clint Frazier. Legitimately every single bat in this lineup is playable. If you find that you need to pay up for pitching and you need the cheaper bats in this lineup, throw them in and feel good about it. If you find that you really want to prioritize the big bats and Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, and you can go down to a mid-range pitcher that's respectable that we discussed, feel good about it. Overall, just scary good spot for these Yankees. Yeah, that's all I got. Dallas Keuchel taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Ground ball, fly ball stuff is very effective. He does give up quite a bit of contact as his strikeout rate is low, but he is a primarily sinker ball thrower. Does a very, very good job of keeping the ball on the ground, and that's kind of, how he's made his major league career last so long. So the Toronto Blue Jays are a team that can definitely rake. They have a bunch of right-handed hitting, and they have a bunch of right-handed hitting that matches left-handed pitching. Problem is, Keuchel is so effective at keeping the ball on the ground. Now, of course, when you're dealing with talented hitters like Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Teoscar Hernandez, Marcus Semien, Randall Grichuk against left-handed pitching, of course, they can get the ball airborne. So I do think they're a viable stack if you want to go there. It's a little scary with the ground ball, fly ball stuff, but it's not the biggest slate in the world. You might be able to get them low-owned, and I definitely think they're a viable stack today. DeSclafani taking on the Washington Nationals. As mentioned, I think this game is going to be a rainout. If it is not, DeSclafani is very good against right-handed hitting, very terrible against left-handed hitting. So that would mean, obviously, Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Kyle Schwarber would be some of the best options on the slate. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be options. If we find out that they are, they're in tremendous spots. Michael King taking on the Minnesota Twins. In the same game we talked about the Yankees, Michael King has been not exactly the best either. Ground ball, fly ball stuff is terrible. The hard contact rate has been pretty impressive. Against righties specifically, he's been pretty good. Ground ball, fly ball stuff, hard contact. But against lefties, he has been very, very bad. A .435 slug given up. Ground ball, fly ball stuff is terrible with a .342 WOBA. So any lefty that cracks this Minnesota lineup tonight is going to be in a great spot. Trevor Lenark, Jorge Polanco, Alex Kirilloff, Nick Gordon, Ben Rovert. And then you can round out your stacks with the righties as well. But yeah, primarily the lefties, if the Yankees have to go to the bullpen, they do traditionally have a pretty good bullpen, but if they have to go to the bullpen early, then you might be seeing some of their not-so-talented arms. So the Minnesota stack would make some sense if you want to try to play that route there. Mike Minor, we already talked about the Oakland Athletics and their abilities to hit left-handed pitching, and Mike Minor definitely gives up a lot of hard contact and fly balls to right-handed hitting. Lefties, I don't really want to target him. Righties, I definitely have interest. Mark Canha, Chad Pinder, Jed Lowry, Sean Murphy, Matt Chapman, Stephen Piscotty, Elvis Andrus. Definitely can be a viable stack tonight. Not the best hitting environment, and it's only about 60 degrees out there, but definitely some opportunity to produce some power against Mike Minor and his repertoire here. And then once we get past him, things start to get really not too interesting, to be honest. I do continue to say I think we can target, for one, I would say Frankie Matas, you can definitely target with left-handed hitting from a power aspect for these Royals. He gives up a .448 slugging to those left-handed bats, and then 37.7% hard contact rate, 35.9% ground ball rate. So the lefties against Frankie Matas, if you want to be sneaky in tournaments, definitely makes sense. Carlos Santana, Andrew Benintendi, specifically in that Royals lineup. And then lastly, Zach Brinky taking on the Boston Red Sox. I think that he's starting to kind of decline a little bit later on in his career, and specifically against right-handed power. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's really not looking that good. He doesn't have the highest K rate. He gives up a .422 slugging to those right-handed bats. So if he faces some elite righties, I do think it's a situation where he could get himself in trouble. So, guys like JD Martinez, Alexander Bogaerts, Hunter Renfroe, Christian Vasquez, Bobby Dahlbeck, I do think could be maybe a sneakier stack than some may think. And then lastly, Trevor Rogers is probably going to be the most popular option on the slate. I tend to think that I'm going to have a lot of interest in him as well, but he does give up a decent amount of hard contact to right-handed hitting. Although the strikeout rate is pretty high, the Rockies hitters that can really match lefties might be some sneaky plays that could get you up the leaderboards, most notably CJ Cron in the middle of the order and Trevor Story in the 2 spot. Those guys both really rake left-handed pitching, and then you got Elias Diaz at the bottom of the order as the catcher that also produces against lefties pretty well. So that is my overall breakdown of this slate today. Before I let you guys go, I got to give you my home run call of the day. Let's get into it. And my home run call of the day today is going to be Giancarlo Stanton taking on J.A. Happ in this spot. Way too good of a spot to pass up. J.A. Happ giving up a .492 slugging against right-handed hitting, 38.6% hard contact rate, a 44.6% fly ball rate, giving up a bunch of fly balls, a bunch of hard contact, and we know Giancarlo Stanton absolutely smashes left-handed pitching. Might be getting a ton of ownership tonight, but I don't care. I don't see myself being able to fade him in this spot. J-Happ really reliant on the fastball sinker combination, as we mentioned earlier. That makes up about 70% of his repertoire. Specifically, the fastball, 90 to 92 miles an hour. Throws about a 91 mile an hour fastball on average. Really reliant on it 55% of the time, and Giancarlo Stanton crushes that pitch. A 1500 ISO with a 967 WOBA, and then against the secondary pitch in the sinker, Giancarlo Stanton crushes as well. A 429 ISO with a 436 WOBA. Cannot fade this spot with Giancarlo. Get him in your lineups because he is my home run call of the day. So there you have it, guys. Giancarlo Stanton, get him in your lineups. Have a feeling on the short slate he's going to be popular, but he's going to be worth it. It's just way too good of a spot to avoid tonight. I think if you avoid it, you're going to really regret it. So get him in your lineups. That is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, if you could please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That would be greatly appreciated. On the road to 1,000 subscribers. Really want to get there by the end of the baseball season. I promise I'll be working hard on these videos for you guys the entirety of the season. If you do enjoy, if you could support by just hitting that subscribe button, means a lot to me. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.